This broadcast is brought to you by Colby Brooks with Century 21 Right Pace Real Estate and buyfrombrooks.com. Let Colby Brooks handle all of your real estate needs. Thanks everyone for joining us on NEA Report. We're doing a late night update because new numbers have just been released from the Arkansas Department of Health. They have not been releasing numbers this late over the past, couple of weeks, but tonight a bit of a difference. And so we've got some more cases to report. We want to get you the latest numbers since our last broadcast has had some adjustments made to those numbers since then a couple of times. Right now, the confirmed number of cases, according to the Arkansas Department of Health, up to 37 in Arkansas. The big change is, of course, we started today. The first update today was 30. So we've learned of 7 new cases since we've learned of the first update today, which was, I believe, 8 new from the previous day. Also, persons under investigation. This is a number that's changed significantly. That is now up to 112. That was 50 earlier, the last time we spoke to you. So that number has increased significantly. That means much more testing is now being performed because basically what that PUI, persons under investigation number, means people that have a test that has been sent off that they're waiting on results for. In addition to that, some more numbers have changed. We want to tell you about that. People being monitored now up to 423. That's the latest number that are being monitored by the Arkansas Department of Health with daily check-in and a guidance because of an identified risk. Finally, past persons under investigation with negative test results, that number is slowly creeping up too. That's at 284. Those are persons that were tested. It was found to be negative. So what do we want to mention out of this? What do we want to take out of this? Well, let's talk about the numbers for a second. First of all, 37 confirmed cases now in the state, and that's not a surprise because we're seeing more cases being tested, right? But what we also want to mention is you see that persons under investigation number go up, you're probably going to hear rumors in your local community of somebody being tested. There's a test, I've heard, for example, several rumors tonight of tests being performed in Randolph County, and it's probably true because there have been tests performed there already, according to the maps we already saw. They were negative. The point of this is, I would say there's almost a certainty if you live in an area, there's going to be somewhere near you that somebody will have been tested for it. But overwhelmingly, those tests are generally speaking negative. That's not to say it's not out there. That's just to say don't panic when you hear of a test being performed in your community. Past negative PUIs, 284. That means 284 tests. Out of those, 37 were found to be positive, right? It's a little more than 10%, basically, once they send off for the tests. So that is only the number of tests that are being sent off. That means people have to be almost, that there's a level of certainty that has to be met. It's not just a random person that came to the doctor's office. So they have to be almost moderately of the belief that something could be different besides the flu or a normal virus when they do perform those tests. And as we see, they're coming back overwhelmingly negative, but they are still seeing increases in confirmed cases. When you look at states like New York, they're now over 2,000 cases. In the world, the number today was crossing the 200,000 mark. We are seeing the numbers climbing. The experts are saying that we're 2 weeks out from where Italy is and that we're on track matching their curve exactly. Italy is seeing hundreds of deaths a day, 300, almost 400 some days. And those numbers are incredible because they're under, at least they were under 30,000 infected. That number's possibly higher. That's just not known yet because of testing. We don't want to get there. And we talked about it earlier today, some of the math and why that this could be something to be worried about. It is something to be worried about. It's just something that we have to work now to avoid potential worse consequences later, right? I want to look in chat because we're just doing a brief live stream tonight. We don't have a major newscast. We did earlier today. If you want to go back and watch that, quite a few headlines were in that. You're going to hear me for a second here because I'm opening up my show. And got to turn the volume down. I see some more people saying that 2 coworkers had to be tested. I appreciate Joanna asking a great question. Where are the new positives? I almost skipped over this detail because there's not news in it from where we were earlier today. The new positives right now are in the same counties that we learned of earlier today. Pulaski, which were Central Arkansas. That's where most of the new positives were. I don't like showing you an old map, but this was the one that we had around noon today. The main difference is, and if I would have remembered, but it's kind of a breaking news thing, so I didn't, I would have loaded up the new map. The main difference is in this map between this and the one we see that was just released, Bradley County has a new case. That's south of Cleveland County. And also Pulaski County had additional cases in it as well. So a little bit more to the south. And also we're seeing the cases intensify in central Arkansas too. Nothing yet in northeast Arkansas. That's what we want to reiterate. At least nothing confirmed in northeast Arkansas. I'm sure many of you are going to hear, as I already said, of people being tested here. The good news is, statistically, there's a 90% chance, even those that the doctors have determined should be tested will come back negative. Still yet, we got to be precautionary, and we've got to be smart about this stuff. Social gatherings, limit them to a number of 10 or less in a single room. And there's a reason why multi-billion-dollar companies are observing that, right? They have a lot more at stake than some of us, even though we're all worried about our jobs. I'm worried about mine. At the same time, we have to be worried about our lives because we can find a new job. It's tough to find a new life. So I'm going to look in chat once more as everybody is with us. I appreciate Brooke and Joanna asking those questions where the new cases. They're all remaining in central Arkansas and one in Bradley County, which is in south Arkansas, almost at the border, not quite there. It is the largest single day increase, by the way, of cases today, as we went from 22 at the beginning of the day to 37 now. But I also saw at the task force by the President of the United States at their press conference today that they wanted to reiterate that with more tests now becoming available, you'll see a surge in cases. They mentioned that that does not mean that more people suddenly became infected. We are just finding right now where the main number is, the curve, where to put the curve to begin. That coming from the White House today. So don't be, when you see over the next few days these numbers increase, they may increase dramatically, just be knowledgeable of the fact that it means there is more testing happening. We're figuring out how many people have this now. It is more than we thought, and we would be naive to suggest that it's not in northeast Arkansas at some point on some person in some level. But it's not confirmed, and that's what we're going by. But we're still also going by be safe, be smart, be careful, observe social distancing. Probably the most important thing to reiterate, the city also saying that today, sending out a late night press release. Let me go through that with you since we're all here. From Bill Campbell, appreciate him. I know he's been working long hours. It says Jonesboro Mayor Harold Perrin introduced the opening of a COVID-19 page on the City of Jonesboro's website, jonesboro.org. This way, residents can stay abreast of policy changes and stuff happening within the city government and ask questions and find links to information regarding this pandemic outbreak. He said, we're working around the clock to adapt to the requirements. Notably, he said, once again, social distancing, that best see us through this emergency. We want to be as informative and responsive to our residents as we possibly can. The mayor said that today. Peggy asked, are there tests available in Jonesboro? I don't have the answer to that. The test availability has been low, but it's been slowly increasing. The president signing in some emergency laws today to help that take place, right? But yeah, it's been something that has definitely been increasing gradually, perhaps just because this was a situation that nobody had prepared for. One message says, I got a mail from Children's Hospital about kids and babies catching it. I'm not sure what that means. I'm assuming you mean that they can. Sure, everybody is susceptible to catch this. Even people that don't experience the symptoms could still catch this and spread it to people that might then later experience them. So it's important to be thoughtful of not just yourself, but others too. You might be okay. You might come in contact with someone that has a weakened immune system and they might not be okay. And in that case, you would never forgive yourself, right? If you're a good person. So some good comments in chat. I appreciate everybody for staying informed and helping others to stay informed too. As I mentioned that before, that's one of my favorite things seeing in comments right now is people helping other people. If you haven't already, join the NEA Report News Tips. There's a lot more updates in that group, so you can see some of the stuff that's happening from your fellow residents in Northeast Arkansas. Supporters have now gotten 3 broadcasts today because we did one early this morning at about 6 a.m. It's tough to explain, but we had a computer error, and if you watch the show, you'll see 99 cents a month to become a supporter. It helps us keep the lights on, especially now more than ever. Stan Morris reporting in Jonesboro, a late night update. It's 8:23. It'll be 8:24 by the time this cycles through to all of you. Hope you have a good night, and hopefully tomorrow we'll be back with more updates, news from Northeast Arkansas, and hopefully some good news at that. Have a good night, everybody. Remember, breaking news breaks out. That's when NEA Report breaks.